Hey, it's Sid, and I've been sitting with something lately, something that's been just kind of eating at me, and I think that you're feeling it too. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning, my alarm's gonna go off. Before I'm even fully awake, my hand is going to be reaching for my phone, right? Like, you know the drill. I wanna check a notification, I hear about another shooting, something about politics, a friend's just posted pictures of a vacation that you probably can't afford. You've got 15 emails already and you haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Like, this is just what it is. And when did this become normal? I mean, really, when did we collectively just decide this is how life works now? And I've been looking at what's happening to us, not just like the news cycle or like all of the controversial things or even the conspiracies that, maybe aren't conspiracies, but just like looking modern life. And even though I'm someone who's very optimistic, I am a person of faith, I do still think that, like, generally speaking, we're in trouble. There are things happening right now all at the same time. Things that have like just haven't happened really in human history, which I'm a little bit cautious to say because there's nothing new under the sun. But then again, like, there's just things that we're seeing that, at least to me, feel like they haven't really all happened at the same time, if that makes sense. And like most of us are just kind of like white knuckling it, through life and trying to be as sane as possible. And that's really what I want to get at. I think emotional regulation is the most fundamental importance to have, to work on, to invest in, like, right now. Like, it is not just a nice to have, it's really like a survival tool that you'll need. Okay. So the three things that are kind of happening right now, the way I see it, is first is just social media in general. And I know you've heard it before. I've heard it before. Everyone knows. Okay, social media is bad for you, right? Tell us something that we don't know. But listen to this. Kids who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media have double the risk of depression and anxiety. Double. Now, the average teenager spends 3.5 hours. They're cooked. And, like, they're cooked. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's just number one. And I read a study somewhere that the number of youth that have like what's described as problematic social media use, like where they get genuinely distressed when they can't check their phone, has like jumped by more than 50%. Right. This is like just a crazy timeline that we're on. Like, this isn't a cultural shift, like a small one. This is like something that's happening very quickly. And this is kind of what really gets me. Okay, there was research done on some college students, like post pandemic, like after the lockdown, when campuses were like really open again, when they could have friends and experiences again. The college kids who like ramped up their social media use during that time were more depressed and more anxious, even though they had access to like human connection. They would choose the screen instead. So a lot of teenagers, you can ask them, they'll tell you that they know social media is bad, phone use is bad, and they see things like happening to their friends and even probably to themselves. And it's like they can't stop it. 40% of young people are dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts, and they can't stop using this thing that's contributing to it. Like, they feel upset, disconnected, depressed when they're not using it, but then they feel awful when they are, and it's not even a preference. Like, it's not even a habit. It's like legitimately a system, like an unstoppable system. We've built a system that makes people feel terrible, that makes people feel worse than they've ever been, and then makes them dependent on the thing that's hurting them. It's crazy. So that's number one. Number two, you throw politics on top of this social media disaster, the screen time disaster. Everyone's picking a side and they're moving to the edges of that side, and it's just deeper than a difference of opinions. It's deeper than like just disagreeing on like partisan issues. Most Americans, if you ask them, will feel exhausted when they think about politics. Seriously, go ask some of your friends. Bring up the topic of politics. They're half of them will probably not be engaged. They won't be passionate. They'll be exhausted. And I read another headline that like only 10% of people feel hopeful as it relates to politics. There's no hope. Trust in the government is really, really low right now, and it's only going to get lower. Like it's dropping fast. And we're now one of the state or one of the countries with some of the highest political polarization that there is. There's countries you would look at and think, thank God that's not us, but the fact is it's us now. Like it's definitely us now. We're not just disagreeing on tax policies in healthcare. We're seeing each other as like existential threats. That's messed up. The other side isn't wrong anymore, or like we don't just disagree with them anymore. They're dangerous. They're monsters. They're destroying everything. They're the enemy. This rhetoric is going both ways, ultimately. And what feeds that is the same algorithms that people can't get themselves off of on social media. Outrage gets engagement. Nuance gets ignored. Anger is what spreads. Us versus them spreads. That's like wired into our DNA, and social media exploits that. Every political post is like an emotional hand grenade that gets thrown into all of our nervous systems, and we spend the whole day activated, stressed out, angry, anxious, or just shut down completely. And we stop caring because caring hurts too much, and there's just too much to even care about. And none of this is sustainable. None of this is sustainable. And I think today I just heard about a shooting at a church, multiple shootings. There's ongoing violence in Gaza, dozens of innocent people being taken out. I mean, it's impossible to keep up with everything. You literally can't keep up with all of the people and all of the crisis. And this is just 1 week we're talking about. And there was a time where it wasn't possible to keep up with as much as we know now. Our phone is just serving up human tragedy constantly, all day, every day. Our brains weren't built for this. Our souls were not built for this. We evolved to respond to immediate real life threats, okay? Things that we could actually escape from, things that we could actually run from. But right now, the entire world, like living in the world, feels like an immediate threat in our nervous system. What's going on in Palestine is your problem. Climate change is your problem. The U.S. debt crisis is your problem. Political violence is your problem. Someone else's suffering is always in your pocket, and it's always your problem. And we're checking our phones constantly, almost 100 times a day. Are we going to see good news? Are we going to see bad news? Chances are we're going to see bad news. Chances are we're going to see devastating news. It's mostly some form of bad. So this is what's happening to us. We have social media, we have politics, and we have constant global crisis. And social media shows us the most divisive content because that's what keeps us engaged. The political content makes us anxious. The anxiety makes us scroll more to try and feel better, or at least more informed. So like maybe we could have some sort of impact or control when really we don't and we can't. And the scrolling shows you even more crisis. The crisis makes you feel more helpless, and then you feel helpless and you scroll some more. Around and around and around. This is what's going on. And there's a lot of people out there who also feel like they don't even have one person that they can count on when they need help. No friends, no families. There's a whole movement of these guys, right? It's like our social fabric is beyond falling apart. And like, I've realized this kind of sounds doom and gloom, but I just really feel like this is what's going on. This is what we're up against. And so if you don't have the ability to regulate your emotions and what you're feeling, to create even a tiny bit of space between what happens and like how you react to it, it's a problem. Because this world and this environment that we live in, it makes you sick. It's making us sick. It's making us anxious, depressed, reactive. Most people can't think. Most people can't connect well with other people. Most people are like barely surviving. That's And that's only going to get worse. So I want to tell you something, like emotional regulation is an important skill, and it's not something you either have or you don't. It's something that you can learn. It's something that you can practice. It's something that you can get better at. And I'm not talking about suppressing your feelings. I'm not talking about ignoring all of the stuff that's happening in the world. I'm not talking about pretending everything's fine when it's not, because I think we're very clear right now that it's not. But I'm talking about just creating space between the notification and your response to it, space between the feeling and the action, space to notice, oh, I'm anxious right now, I'm tense right now, without immediately needing to do something about it, without immediately scrolling or getting into an argument in a comment section or shutting down. Just noticing you slowing down and taking that breath. That's where it starts. One moment where you're not reacting to something, one choice to respond differently when your nervous system is screaming at you to engage with the nonsense. This world isn't going to slow down. It's only speeding up. These algorithms and the corporations behind them are not going to suddenly care about our well-being. They're not. The news cycle isn't going to get better. So it's on you and it's on me to change how we move through it. Really. That's what this is about. And that's what we're doing here. That's what I'm doing in my day-to-day. That's what I'm doing with the platforms that I have. Remembering to breathe, remembering to pause, remembering to take care of ourselves, remembering to regulate our emotions, remembering to choose. Because if we don't, we're going to keep getting swept along by forces that don't have our best interests at heart. And we deserve better than that. And I do think that there's a lot of good still happening in the world, of course. And I want to be a part of it. And I can't do that if I'm dysregulated all the time. And I hope that you want to be a part of it too. Yeah. I hope you slow down. I hope you take more deep breaths. I hope you choose to refocus on what really matters. And I hope that you do the work that's required to regulate your emotions, which can mean taking a step back from everything that's going on. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. I'm gonna edit this, wrap up a couple things, go to bed. Tomorrow's Monday, and I want to remember when I wake up, when that alarm goes off, to breathe and to not jump right into everything and to not jump right into the notifications, but to just breathe. And that's the fight that we have to fight.